wakili, shut up and double your order. Manake huu mkutano utakuwa mrefu sana.
Ni kawaida yake kutoka mapema ofisini kila siku.
Kila siku?
Kila siku.
Afu wewe mwenyewe mrembo nikaenda ndogo. Kaitwa nani? Nimekuwa kazini kwako na sikukuona, umetoka wapi?
Lakini it's too much. It's not good for business.
If you're so sure about your accusations, I suppose you have a proof, right?
I know how rotten you are. That is why it will only be me who's going to drag you out of my sawmill plant.
Let go of me!
Hey, you leave her alone, will you?
That's enough, Uriel!
You told my brother what I did.
Eat him like this.
Well, it's the beginning of the last quarter of the year. Good evening from wherever you're watching us. Welcome to KBC Prime Edition. My name is Mboya. Our top stories tonight. Servers, petitions, and new counties. The National Dialogue Committee receives more submissions on how to create the Kenya we want. Justice be our shield and defender. County bosses want protection from the political whims of county assemblies. In the footsteps of Teacher Tabichi, another Kenyan teacher nominated for the prestigious Global Teacher Prize. We will tell you who. Thank you for joining us from wherever you are, our sign language interpreter. Tonight is Lensa Odingo, and we go straight to our top story. Former Attorney General Amos Wako now wants Parliament to review electoral laws to make the servers automatically opened and accessible to all Kenyans immediately after elections. While making submissions before the National Dialogue Committee, the former Busia senator also called for the involvement of the opposition political parties in the formation of the Electoral Commission to enhance transparency in the elections. Gishuki Wachira opens our coverage with that report.
Former Attorney General Amos Wako appeared before the National Dialogue Committee to offer legal proposals to enhance good governance. Wako said there is need for Kenya's electoral system to borrow from historical best practices to avoid election petitions. Wako is proposing that the top 3 political parties have representation in the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission.
My proposal and recommendations, having studied the three matters of appointing commissioners, is that we have a mixed system of some commissioners nominated by political parties and some commissioners appointed through a refined system that we now have. In this way, the benefits from both ways can be realized.
I just want to agree with you on the persons of gravitas. How you achieve that is something that we probably may want to develop with us.
Some amendments ought to be made to the various laws to make clear that the chairman of the Electoral Commission does not act on his own, but he acts on the decision of the Commission, on a decision that collectively arrived at.
The former Attorney General also recommended the enactment of a law that will ensure election servers are automatically opened and accessible to Kenyans immediately after elections.
In other words, as soon as the presidential elections are declared, and that's normally the last to be declared, the server should be open, and it should be open and accessible to whoever wants to access it.
The former Busia senator also wants a national consultation forum on the economic crisis be convened to develop solutions for lowering cost of living. Kitui Senator Enoch Mboya also appeared before the National Dialogue Committee to defend his proposal to have Kitui County split into Mwingi and Kitui counties. Azimio One Kenya Coalition Party and the ruling Kenya Kwanza Alliance are expected to make submissions on Tuesday. Bishop Washira, Prime Edition.
Governors want protection from what they term as perennial threats to oust them from their seats by members of the County Assembly. Council of Governors Chair Anne Waiguru says that they will be presenting the matter as part of their grievances to the National Dialogue Committee. The Kirinyaga governor, who was re-elected for another term, says that COG will be seeking an increment of the equitable share of the revenue for the county governments from the current 15% all the way to 45%. Yusuf Farah with that report.
On Monday, the Council of Governors held a full council meeting, the highlights of which were the elections for the Executive and Technical Committee chairs to steer the council forward for the next year. Governor Anne Waiguru and her Wajir counterpart Ahmed Abdullahi retained their seats as chairperson and vice chairperson respectively. Nandi Governor Stephen Sangi is the new whip. In the committees, Tharaka Nithi County Governor Mudhomi Njuki is in charge of the health docket. Arid and semi-arid lands and disaster risk management committee will be headed by Garissa Governor Nadif Jamal, while the trade, industry, manufacturing and enterprise development committee will be chaired by Nakuru County Governor Susan Kihika.
County governments are committed to deliver on their mandate in a focused and coordinated manner. We endeavor to continue harnessing potential opportunities for prosperity to ensure citizens access timely and quality services in all devolved sectors.
The governors decried differences in the parameters of ouster for members of parliament, senators and county assembly, terming them as lengthy in comparison to theirs.
So the only thing we are asking is that the same provisions that you have provided for the National Assembly, kindly do provide the same for the governors, and that, I think, will go a long way in addressing perennial impeachment.
Other issues that will be presented to the committee include funding and periodic costing of national and county functions and increase of the equitable share of revenue for the county governments to 45%.
Establishment of a borrowing framework by counties and the limitation of boundaries by the counties.
The council committed to further focus on fully devolving functions and resources. They're now calling on the national government and other devolution stakeholders to embrace consultation, cooperation and collaboration to enable the council to serve the people of Kenya effectively. Yusuf Farah reporting for Prime Edition.
Into the corridors of justice, the Director of Public Prosecution says that he will present slightly over 200 witnesses in the 1.1 billion shillings Canada and Finland scholarship scandal. Uasin Gishu Senator Jackson Mandago and his two co-accused persons, Joshua Lelei and Meshach Rono, appeared Monday at the Nakuru Law Courts for a mention of the case that has caused protests in that county.
Senator Mandago and his co-accused are being charged for their involvement in the botched 1.1 billion shillings overseas education program. The prosecution told the court that it intends to present 202 witnesses, among other documents in the case.
The issue of supply of the documents is anchored on the orders which were granted by the court on 17th August 2023, that the documents are to be supplied at their own cost. So once they bear the costs, we will be keen to supply the documents within 2 weeks.
The defense counsel applied that they be granted 60 days to peruse the documents presented by the DPP in preparation for the case. On August 2023, the trio pleaded not guilty on 10 counts, including conspiracy to commit felony, stealing, and forgery when they were put on their defense. The case will be mentioned on January 15th, 2024. Elsewhere, the 63 billion shillings graft case facing former Cabinet Secretary Henry Rotich failed to proceed despite the witnesses presenting themselves in court, as the prosecution declined to read them and adduce their evidence. Trial Magistrate Eunice Nyutu declined the prosecution's prayers of adjourning the matter for 14 days to give the new sworn-in Director of Public Prosecutions time to relook at the charges on the file, saying it was not on merit as the office did not make a written application for the prayers.
The DPP, under the Constitution at Article 157, has a discretion to file an application, whichever application, or to review a file at any time or at any stage of a trial. And that should not be a bar to this trial. And therefore, I find that considering that there are witnesses before the court, I find that the application for adjournment is without merit.
Rotich and his co-accused are charged for allegedly misappropriating the said amount that was meant for construction of Aror and Kimorer dams. Hearing of the matter continues tomorrow. Michael Maniga for Prime Edition.
The Ministry of Lands has launched an audit exercise across the registries in the country ahead of the cashless revenue collection and full digitization launch. Cabinet Secretary Zakaria Njeru says that the exercise intends to enhance service delivery and also tax collection.
Speaking at the flagging off of 8 audit teams to traverse the country, Lands Cabinet Secretary Zakaria Njeru said the officers have up to 14 days to submit the audit report that will guide the adoption of cashless revenue collection and the launch of digitalization of services at the ministry.
We've learned a lot while doing this exercise here in Nairobi, and we believe while going to other parts of the country, the whole exercise will be fast, and that's why we want to start preparing early.
Sentiments echoed by Principal Secretary Nixon Korir, who noted that the nationwide audit exercise will also help in ensuring a clean database to guide policy and decision-making going forward.
For a service that we offer at 500 shilling, you'll realize the members of the public are being charged close to 5,000 for that service by the middlemen in the middle between the public and the members of the public. And therefore, members of the public will pay the actual figure, because that one you'll pay to the government and there will be no middlemen.
At the same time, the ministry has revealed plans to increase its manpower in a bid to address some of its perennial challenges, among them delays in land valuation.
We were a bit challenged because we were depending 100% on government. We were depending on Exchequer to get the budget to run our operations. But in this financial year, we are also approved by the Treasury and Parliament that we can now have a spend A, that is spending on source, up to a budget of 1 billion.
For Prime Edition, I'm Zainab Said.
Very well. Mombasa Governor Abdul Swamad Sharif has assured Mombasa residents living in fear of evictions that they will receive their title deeds in due course. This as over 1,000 residents of Jomvu were issued with title deeds during national celebrations to mark World Habitat Day. Sarafina Robi with that report.
World Habitat Day is marked every first Monday of the month of October annually, as designated by the United Nations in 1985. National celebrations were held in Mombasa County, where over 1,000 residents of Mikindani in Jomvu, Mombasa County, were issued with title deeds.
Napongeza sana Bwana Gavana kwa kuhakikisha tumepata cheti za ardhi hapa Mikindani, na isitoshe pia Mikindani, manake bado ni mapema, ahakikishe Mombasa nzima.
Mombasa County Governor Abdulswamad Sharif reassured residents living without land ownership documents.
We as the county government of Mombasa have secured necessary financing, not for ourselves, but on behalf of the people that have given us that power, on behalf of the people who have delegated their constitutional rights to us, so that we can be able to lead and represent them.
His sentiments were echoed by key stakeholders who emphasized the importance of a better habitat.
Na hata serikali kuu hapa wajue kama Jomvu maeneo mengi hawana hati miliki za ardhi. Na leo hii nataka niseme kuna tabia ya watu wanaishi kwenye makao yao zaidi ya miaka 20 na zaidi. Anakuja mtu na fake title deed ati ni yake afurushe watu. Siku hii ya leo tunasema mambo haya lazima yakome na watu wote wapewe hati miliki za ardhi.
World Habitat Day was celebrated under the theme dubbed Resilient Urban Economies, Cities as Drivers of Growth and Recovery. Serafina Robi for Prime Edition.
Now, the Nobel Assembly at the Karolinska Institute in Stockholm, Sweden, has jointly awarded the 2023 Nobel Peace Prize in Physiology or Medicine to 2 scientists for developing a technology that has enabled the development of an effective messenger RNA vaccine against coronavirus. American professors Katalin Kariko and Drew Weissman played a major role in the unprecedented rate of vaccine development during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Professors Katalin Kariko and Drew Weissman were surprised and overwhelmed after receiving a Nobel Prize call to inform them that they were the winners of the 2023 Nobel Prize in Medicine. The journey of the discoveries of vaccines by the 2 Nobel Prize winners was vital for developing effective messenger RNA vaccines against coronavirus pandemic, which began in early 2020. Through thorough research, several laboratory tests and groundbreaking findings, the research has given a new face to how mRNA interacts with the immune system. The 2 professors narrated that they've experienced sleepless nights and several setbacks on the path of developing the messenger ribonucleic acid vaccine against the COVID-19 pandemic that acted as a major threat to human health. The technology was experimental before the pandemic, but has now been given to millions of people around the world to protect them against serious COVID-19. The same mRNA technology is now being researched for other diseases, including cancer. Professor Kariko, a professor at Szeged University in Hungary, and Professor Weissman, a professor at the University of Pennsylvania, had met in the early 1990s while working at the University of Pennsylvania in the United States, when the 2 showed interest in messenger ribonucleic acid studies. Brandon Som, reporting for Prime Edition.
Another win here, this time for Kenyan teacher Millicent Kasianes. She has been nominated for the 2023 prestigious Vaki Foundation Global Teacher Prize. The Kenyan teacher was selected from over 7,000 nominees and applicants from over 130 countries globally. Kasianes, who teaches at the BL Teza Special School for the Deaf in Karunga, as in Migori County, has told KBC Channel 1 that she will use the newfound platform to continue to push for the education and protection of special needs children. The Global Teacher Prize is organized in collaboration with UNESCO and in partnership with Dubai Cares, a global philanthropic organization based in the United Arab Emirates.
They called and told me that I'm one of them, but they'll interview me. So I was interviewed by the Vaki Foundation, and after the interview, I was nominated as the best in Kenya and among the best 8 in Africa, and I'm among the finalists, the 50 finalists in the world. Yeah, generally it means a lot, not only to the special children, but it's also like a sensitization to the community, because when I was starting the school, there were very many children who are still in the villages who are not accessing education. I started the school with 6 deaf children who are not going to school. And then later, as I continued doing the home visits, sensitization in chief barazas and churches, I realized that there were very many deaf children out there who are not going to school.
Now, Africa's $259 billion worth of opportunity in life and health sciences is a viable investment that ought to get the African population tapping into for the good of the continent. Africa Health Business Executive Chairman Dr. Amrit Thakkar says that this can be done through leveraging the continent's vast natural resources, whose value is underestimated.
Africa remains in the back burner even as investment opportunities abound on the continent. Africa Health Business Executive Chairman Dr. Amit Thakkar says while Africa needs $1.3 trillion to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, therein lie opportunities in the health sciences that can be tapped to turn around the continent's fortunes.
Collaboration is the new innovation. You can have sovereignty, but you build partnerships. We have our own problems in Africa that we can deal with leadership. It's pretty clear. The whole world knows. Europe is doing 70% business among its 27 countries. Africa is only doing 17% of business amongst its 54 countries. Perfect example for promoting poverty.
Speaking on the sidelines of the second Africa Health Harm Reduction Conference in Marrakesh, Morocco, Thakkar called for leadership among African leaders on how to unite so that Africa is able to confront the challenges as one.
Where we can have fair rates at a fair price for Africa, which is doing an incredibly positive thing for the continent, for the world. We are good in climate change. We contribute the least. We are providing natural resources. We may have our own challenges and trouble, but that doesn't mean that you hit the African countries with 8 or 10 times more the prize that you're giving the other countries. It is largely unfair.
He regretted the imbalance in capital credit that favors the developed world. African countries have been independent for the last 60 years on average. 60 years of poverty and crippling underdevelopment. The rallying call is now for African leaders to collaborate and find a lasting solution towards development of the continent. I'm Judith Akolo in Marrakesh, Morocco.
Well, that story on capital credit favoring developed nations and disadvantaging the continent of Africa brings us to a fast break right here on Prime Edition. Do stay with us. We'll be back shortly.
Nduthi officially Nduthi iko ndani ya one of the boxes ya Lucky Game. Cheza Lucky Game, kumbuka ni *570#. Chagua Lucky Game, kisha chagua one of the boxes kati ya hizo 7. Weka stakes zako isiwe chini ya 20 shillings na isizidi 2,000 Kenyan shillings. Zawadi ziko kem. Kiwapo pia Nduthi tumeingiza mahali pale. Vurumisha na *570#.
The
National Construction Authority, NCA, is the legal body mandated to regulate the construction industry and coordinate its development. The authority, in partnership with KBC Channel 1, invites you for an accreditation drive and safety sensitization exercise under the theme Usalama kwa Ujenzi on Tuesday, 3rd October, 10th Street, Eastleigh. There will be entertainment and free education on matters of construction in Kenya. Come meet your favorite presenters and artists including Jua Kali, Mgenge, Dufla and Deligon. The exercise shall kick off from 9 a.m. from 10th Street, Eastleigh, next to Huduma Center, where we shall offer accreditation for construction workers and site supervisors. To be accredited, please carry a copy of your national ID, passport size photos, copies of academic certificates or recommendation letter from an NCA registered contractor. This exercise shall then be followed by a roadshow flagged off by the Kamukunji Constituency Member of Parliament, Honorable Abdi Yusuf Hassan. The roadshow will proceed to Shauri Moyo, Majengo, Bahati, Kariobangi, Fedha, Pipeline, Kayole, Dandora, Kangundo Road, Mwiki, Kasarani, and end at Roysambu. Jenga Haki, Jenga Smart. The National Construction Authority, promoting excellence in the construction industry.
County Government of Turkana welcomes you to the Ehale Center in Lodwar Town for the 7th edition of the Turkana Cultural and Tourism Festival. From 12th to the 14th of October 2023. Come, experience the origin of mankind with its unmatched beauty, from the beaches of Lake Turkana to the oil wells of Lokichar. Live on Channel 1, Radio Taifa and KBC Turkana Service.
If you're so sure about your accusations, I suppose you have a proof, right? I know how rotten you are. That is why it will only be me who's going to drag you out of my sawmill plant.
Let go of me!
Hey, you leave her alone, will you?
That's enough, Uriel!
You told my brother what I did. I have told you that when you irritate me, it will cost you very dearly, and I mean dearly.
Why don't you go with her, instead of pursuing me just to annoy your brother? Because what can be expected from a man who allows his wife to treat him like this?
Welcome back to Prime Edition, our socials at KBC Channel 1. The Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Forestry, in partnership with the World Bank, is set to establish the first state-of-the-art electronic waste recycling center in Africa at the Konza Technopolis city. At the African Regional Meeting on Electronic Waste Management and Persistent Organic Pollutants in Mombasa, Environment Cabinet Secretary Soipan Tuya said that the project, which will take 5 years, will be completed at a cost of 850 million shillings. It aims at mitigating the environment impacts of electronic waste and promoting sustainable practices in the disposal and recycling of electronic devices.
Representatives from across Africa have converged in Mombasa for the African Regional Meeting on Electronic Waste Management and Persistent Organic Pollutants. The forum aims at coming up with amicable solutions to managing electronic waste and also curbing the impacts of persistent organic pollutants on the environment and public health. It is here that the Environment, Climate Change and Forestry Cabinet Secretary Soipan Tuya disclosed plans to set up the first state-of-the-art electronic waste recycling center in Africa at Konza Technopolis.
This is a 5-year program which by 2025 the first phase will end, and we believe and hope that we'll have World Bank continuing with the support and even have more partners coming on board, because again the statistics are worrying. that for our e-waste, we are only doing 1% recycling currently.
Soipan added that plans are at an advanced stage to construct material recovery facilities across the country, which will also create job opportunities for the youths.
We have also plans through the just developed strategic plan of the ministry to set up model material recovery facilities across the country to demonstrate how we turn waste into wealth.
Soipan called for public-private partnership to improve waste management practices in the country. For Prime Edition from Mombasa County, I am Ann Mburu.
Let's go over to Kakamega County, where the police there have launched investigations into the death of a man whose body was found dumped in the Joyland area of Kakamega town. Residents allege that Kevin Owongo may have been killed by someone from that area.
The Nyumba Kumi initiative in Joyland, Kakamega County has expressed concerns over rising cases of violence in the area. Led by Salim Hassan, the Nyumba Kumi initiative said the death of Kevin Owongo must be investigated to deter a repeat of the heinous act.
Hii Joyland kuna wezo wako wengi sana, but sisi tukikutana nao kuna venye huwa tunakabiliana nao. Hata kuwa, but kuna tutakutwist kidogo, serikali tunapigia serikali kuja. Huyu bwana si tujaua huyu bwana. Na huyu bwana mimi namfahamu muda mrefu. Ni mtu mlevi, si mwizi. Hiyo nakata, sio mwizi hata kidogo. Huyu bwana hakuna siku utampata soba, hakuna siku. Ni mlevi tu, lakini anauza maski zake na changa zake.
Police are pursuing leads to ascertain the circumstances under which Owongo died. Meanwhile, residents of Ruai Estate in Anyuki, Laikipia County want the police to investigate the discovery of hides found scattered by the road.
Usiku hawa watu wanachukua ng'ombe hawa waisi, na badala anapeleka anachinja tu kichaka. Ile kitu unakuta pale tu ni damu peke yake na ile mara chini, hakuna kitu kingine unasapata hiyo ng'ombe. So sasa sai tunaomba serikali tusaidiane, na ambao tukienda hawa watu wale wahalifu waende wapatikane, kama watapatikana washukuliwa watu wakali.
The residents suspect that the animals may have been stolen from Laikipia, Nyeri and Meru counties and their meat sold in Anyuki town. Tilio Marco for Prime Edition.
Meanwhile, a section of Boda Boda operators and residents of Tinderet constituency in Nandi County are decrying the poor state of roads in that area. And residents of Lari constituency in Kiambu have a reason to rejoice over the provision of services provided by Lands Registry as well as the judiciary closer to them. These and more in our county's wrap-up.
Transport along the Sokosik Kimwani to Sitet Road in Tinderet constituency, Nandi County, was disrupted after Boda Boda operators and area residents protested over impassable bad roads in the area.
Tuko na vijana wamechukua loans, pikipiki inakaa 2 to 3 months inaharibika. Ikisha haribika wanasema ati vijana wamemisbehave, hawataki kazi. Ndio Bwana Ruto, tunakuomba umetusaidia kwa loan, vijana umeajiri wengi kwa loan. Na kama loan wana default wanarudisha pikipiki kwa sababu ya barabara, tutaingia wapi?
Sasa ingine tuna pepa wa mama ambayo mjamzito, na wakati tunaenda njia ni mbaya, mama ambayo tunabeba analia kuhusu njia. Sasa ingine tunaenda mpaka anasidu gisidi, anaanza kutuhuma, inauma mgongo yetu vile imekuwa chungu zaidi wakati tunabeba yeye. Sasa tunalia kuhusu hii njia. Hii njia haijaundwa tangu.
It was a sigh of relief, however, for residents of Lari constituency over plans to bring land registry and judiciary services closer to them. Area member of National Assembly Mburu Kahangara said Kiambu County government will offer land for construction of the said offices.
Tutakata shamba la ikabili, then we do our college there. Kwa hivyo sasa tumekubaliana next week ni surveyor kukuja and immediately we start that project ndio tuweze kusonga. Ofisi zingine za serikali, court, the judiciary have already made a request to us. We provide them with a building ndio na pia tuwapatie shamba mahali pa kujenga.
And a cross-section of beneficiaries of the cash transfers from Ruiru constituency are calling on the national government to consider increasing the monthly stipend
to elderly people from the current 2,000 shillings to 5,000 shillings. Speaking after getting walking aids and food donations from area Member of Parliament Simon Kingara, the beneficiaries also appealed to the government to pay the stipends in time. For Prime Edition, I'm Purity Musyoka.
He was in office for just 7 months and went down in history as the minister who served for the shortest stint in President Mwai Kibaki's cabinet. That notwithstanding, Geoffrey Mapukori Parpai distinguished himself as a defender of the Maasai rights, both as a legislator and also as a cabinet minister. Parpai, who was among the first cabinet ministers in Kibaki's government, was in charge of the civil service when he died from colon cancer, aged just 51 years. He is our focus on tonight's episode of The Cabinet.
Born in 1952 in Kajiado South in the then Kajiado district, Geoffrey Parpai began his education at the Loitoktok Primary School and later joined Olkejuado Secondary School for his O-level education. He later joined the Kenya Institute of Administration, now School of Government, where he trained as an accountant. In 1982, he became the clerk of Olkejuado Town Council, where he worked until 1992 when he joined elective politics. Parpai would join KANU, but in 1991, after the repealing of Section 2A of the Constitution that allowed multipartyism, he would decamp to the newly formed Democratic Party led by Mwai Kibaki. He contested the Kajiado South post but did not win after managing 9,383 votes against the incumbent MP Philip Singaru of KANU, who won with 12,292 votes. Singaru was Professor George Saitoti's ally. Despite the setback, Parpai's political star would shine from that time on and would make a comeback in the 1997 polls, winning the seat after he beat Singaru with a margin of over 3,500 votes. During these elections, Parpai would become Democratic Party presidential candidate Mwai Kibaki's appointment in the Maasai region. In Parliament, Parpai was known to sometimes lose his cool when discussing issues to do with the Maa community. As an MP, Parpai was pushing for the elevation of Loitoktok Division to sub-county status. He would join Mwai Kibaki to form the National Rainbow Coalition (NAC) to topple KANU, which had ruled since independence. He was shortly after appointed the minister in charge of personnel management. His assistant minister was Maurice Zoro, the then MP for Kaloleni. In the Kibaki cabinet, Parpai remains one whose competencies as a minister was barely tested owing to his brief stint, but he was a trusted President Mwai Kibaki's lieutenant in the Maa community. For the cabinet, I'm Ben Troy Njue.
So I want to invite the ambassadors of various countries across the world, ambassadors from various countries to Kenya. I want to extend the same even to our own president, who will become the guest of honor of this event, and the deputy president who will close the event. There are many other leadership who will speak in between the time when the president will be coming and also when the deputy president will be closing. I want to ask the people of Turkana County to turn up in very large numbers, because the president of the Republic of Kenya will be coming and paying a visit to the headquarters and also trying to open a few projects from across Turkana County. The people of Turkana are very friendly, and it is peaceful all across our border. So we do not really want anybody to fail to come, because this is the cradle of mankind. Turkana County according to proven history, it has been found that all human beings who even live in the United States of America or elsewhere, all of them originated or came from Turkana County.
Officially Nduthi iko ndani ya one of the boxes ya Lucky Game. Cheza Lucky Game. Kumbuka ni *570#. Chagua Lucky Game. Kisha chagua one of the boxes kati ya hizo 7. Weka stakes zako isiwe chini ya 20 shillings na isizidi 2,000 Kenyan shillings. Zawadi ziko kem. Kiwapo pia Nduthi tumeingiza mahali pale. Vurumisa na *570#.
Ushindani hapa lazima na kulizana swali lazima tulizane.
Kate, what is this now?
Wakili, shut up and double your order. Manake huu mkutano utakuwa mrefu sana.
Ni kawaida yake kutoka mapema ofisini kila siku.
Kila siku?
Kila siku.
Afu mimi mwenyewe mrembo nikaenda ndogo. Kaitwa nani?
Nimekuwa kazini kwako na sikukuona, umetoka wapi? Lakini it's too much. It's not good for business.
It was Taxpayers Day. Nemo is on set. Nemo.
Hi, Tom.
How are you?
Great, as you indeed have rightly put it, is Taxpayers Week, Customer Week. This whole of this week, we'll be looking at various organizations that are going to be rewarding their customers in regards to what they are doing to ensure that they grow economically. Now, moving on to the day's news, my name is Weri Mujenga. Now, Kenya Revenue Authority raked in 37.5 million shillings during the 2-month pilot of Kenya Revenue Authority online auction between August and September. Commissioner General Humphrey Watanga says the process will boost government efforts to decongest ports and ensure cargo is cleared in a timely and efficient manner.
This year's annual Taxpayers Month, dubbed Tunawiri or Let Us Prosper, is a call to Kenyans to embrace their role in supporting growth and prosperity through painstaking tax payment.
We want to make sure that for us to create compliance, tax compliance, tax must be sensitive in terms of the target group. So improvement of efficiency in tax policy and administration is very vital to the balanced act of effectively providing services to taxpayers while we are mobilizing the much needed revenue to finance development.
With a target to raise 2.5 billion shillings in ordinary revenue the financial year 2023-2024, the taxman is employing various strategies, among them the tax amnesty program.
I encourage all taxpayers who have accrued interest and penalty charges up to December 2022 to pay their outstanding principal taxes and get a write-off of the penalty and interest accrued.
KRA anticipates to collect approximately 50 billion shillings through the tax amnesty, targeting those who have accrued interest of up to December 2022.
KRA now calls on taxpayers across the country to take advantage of the online auction and purchase items at affordable prices.
The taxman is banking on the success of the 2-month pilot phase of the online auction that raked in 37.5 million shillings to boost coffers. Watanga said the online auction will be accessible to registered taxpayers countrywide and globally and is set to increase transparency in the bidding process, characterized by faster negotiation. Regina Manyara reporting for Prime Edition.
Now, fish prices in the country might increase in coming weeks as fishing activities in parts of Lake Victoria decrease due to high fuel prices. A section of fishermen say they have drastically reduced hours at the lake due to the high vessels' operational costs.
Kenya shipped 8.5 million tons of fish last year from China, worth 1.4 billion shillings. Fish imports are set to increase drastically this year, despite a 10% duty increase as fishermen in Lake Victoria reduce operations due to high cost of fuel.
Nyuma ilikuwa bei ya mafuta ilikuwa ni kidogo, ilikuwa kama 170 hivi 150 hivi. Lakini saa hii imepanda, sasa iko 230 hivi. Sasa tunaona hapo ni ngumu sana.
Fishermen in Lake region now say they have been forced to cut down hours spent on Lake Victoria to cut down on production costs. The fishermen add that low purchasing power of their customers makes a price increment impossible, as cheap fish imports would edge them out of the market.
Tunachukua omena hapa kwa boats, alafu vile tunaanika omena. Hizo omena zetu siku hizi zinakwama kulingana na bei ya petroli. Unakuta kama zamani tulikuwa na bei ya rahisi, tunaweza kutuma omena mpaka Mombasa, Nairobi, zingine zinaenda manchi zingine mbalimbali. Lakini wakati huu unakuta kama tunapitia njia kali kabisa, tunakwama na omena hapa.
The dwindling earnings have also affected the economy of towns adjacent to the lake.
Wengi wetu ambao walikuwa wanafanya biashara yao imeathiriwa kwa namna moja ama nyingine, kwa sababu unajua mafuta ndio inaendesha uchumi wa Kenya. Ningependa kumwambia rais wetu ambaye ni Mheshimiwa William Ruto aone, aingilie hii gharama ya maisha.
To mitigate against the high fuel prices, some fishermen have resorted to illegal fishing methods that are jeopardizing fish stock at the lake.
Bei ya mafuta tunaona iko juu, vile tunafanya kazi tunaumia. Itabidi uombe Mungu ukienda kazi upate samaki mingi, ndio unaweza pata chenye kuweka kwa meza. Mahali mafuta imefika, hatuwezi pata kitu kwa kazi ambayo tunafanya.
Lake Victoria accounts for 60% of the total fish produced in Kenya. Benson Rioba reporting for Prime Edition.
Now, stakeholders in the real estate sector have appealed to the Kajiado County government to undertake consultations before proposing changes to the land subdivision policy. They are now calling for a review of the county 10-year spatial plan, saying it will lead to increased land prices and violates the constitution on land ownership.
Restricting the 50 by 100 size plots. That is where we have measured our business on, because most of our customers, I would say 80%, that is what they go for, and probably more so because that is what they are able to afford. One thing we would want to ask the county government is to kindly consider the stakeholders. When we are coming up with the plans or the spatial plans, they can invite us so that we can sit on a table, exchange idea, and have the very best for the county.
Now, Grassroots Trust, a civil rights organization in Kisumu, wants the government to establish a fund management system that will see the housing levy channeled specifically towards construction of affordable houses. And as the world marks the United Nations Habitat Day today, the trust argues that the implementation strategy of the affordable housing is not clear enough to many Kenyans. The trust also wants the government to put in place an elaborate mechanism to ensure that informal settlers are the eventual beneficiaries of the program as intended.
Time is now for the government to work out a proper structure so that when I am tasked, this money goes somewhere and is picked from that somewhere to come and do the housing at Anderson, at Makasembo, at wherever across the country. In this way, the government should think of creating a bank, a housing bank, pure, to finance, where you and me can get a cheaper loan, for example, or get a cheaper, get money to finance the affordable housing. We are also saying, we have seen estates like Makasembo. We have seen another one in Mombasa, Buxton. There is also, I'm forgetting the name, in Nairobi, that the estate renewal under the program of affordable housing at the end, the people who are living there end up not being the beneficiaries. So we are saying, before anything starts, before such programs begin, the parties involved, the residents and the companies involved must enter into an MOU, a legally binding MOU, which spells out the role of each stakeholder, so that at the end of the program, when the beneficiaries are supposed to receive their keys, the first one should be the people who are resident in that area.
Now, more sensitization of small-scale border traders is needed if tax evasion cases within border towns are to be reduced. Cross-border Small Traders Sensitization Project Assistant Joyce Elegu says authorities are now educating small traders on how to use available simplified trading systems that caters for goods below $2,000 within the East African partner states.
According to the East African Women in Business platform, most small-scale traders along border towns lack access to information on trade regulations, thereby hurting trade among EAC partner states.
Across the border, how trade is the general about trade procedures at the border. So we are trying to help. We are doing this to make trade better for women, for small-scale traders.
Stakeholders say cross-border trade has been complicated by policies that don't favor small traders, leading to loss of custom revenue through smuggling.
One of the requirements, you must have an invoice. You must fill a form to be satisfied by KRA. That SCR form to be certified by KRA. That is still a challenge to a semi-illiterate or an illiterate person. One, it could be fear of not knowing how to write.
At the same time, local manufacturers have been urged to offer more job opportunities to women in a bid to empower them economically. Ronik Vora, a director at Revito Healthcare, says the company has so far employed 650 workers, with 80% being women, while 18 are those living with disabilities.
The main reason and main focus on employing as much women, particularly within the Kilifi County environment, is because women, mothers, single mothers, which are a lot of them within this county, actually go home to feed the children, to pay for school fees, to take care of the homes, and to make sure that the children are excelling in life.
The syringe manufacturing company's plans for a plant in Kilifi County has received a nearly 593 million shillings grant from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to enable them to produce over 300 million units of auto-disable syringe products annually.
Now, the world's largest floating book fair with a wide-ranging collection of more than 5,000 books has docked at the port of Mombasa, providing avid readers with an exceptional opportunity for learning and discovery. According to Alessandro Dal Castro, a media relations officer aboard MV Logos Hope, keeping solid relations with book suppliers helps make the venture feasible.
The MV Logos Hope docked at the port of Mombasa 7 weeks ago after a stint at the Seychelles Highlands, offering visitors arriving from shore an opportunity to freely explore its selection.
We partner up with different companies, and so what happens is they give us a discount on different kinds of books. We also have the opportunity of getting some books for very reduced price, so we can also sell them for a better price.
The historic arrival of the MV Logos Hope was a welcome development among educationally minded Kenyans and a unique way to promote literacy.
I give it a thumbs up because it draws interest, and people like to come to a place where they have never gone before, especially being on a ship.
Constanza Figueroa, a staff member of the advanced preparation team on the MV Logos Hope, said the extraordinary vessel redefines the concept of stationary bookstores by embarking on a global adventure.
I believe that there is a book for everybody that visits the ship. But as I said, so many countries, so many different backgrounds. Sometimes you will imagine that it's hard, but that's how we share also hope, trying to learn from each other, trying to maybe just think in another perspective, you know, so that makes you grow so much.
More than 50 different nationalities make up the volunteer crew aboard the vessel. The MV Logos Hope has visited over 200 ports since it commenced operations in the year 1970. From Mombasa, it will visit more ports along Africa's east coast, all in a bid to share knowledge and hope. Edna Murungi reporting for Prime Edition.
That story by Edna brings to a close business news for tonight. But on the other end of the studio, we have Daniel Wahome with a sports update. Have a good night. My name is Weri Mujenga.
These are the moments we live for every Friday as we catch up with the world of football.
Manchester City go in front.
With your favorite stars in rivalries like no other that keeps you on the edge of your seat. Learn a few tricks that keep you ahead of the game and spice it all with unforgettable moments on Dunda Dunda. On Saturday, you're in for another treat as we rock your weekend with all sporting disciplines, bringing you insights on what's happening behind the scenes as we share players and athlete stories, preparations, and celebrate their achievements.
Charging to the line! Is it going to be a world record? Yes, it is! She smashed it!
Whatever angle you look at, we've got you covered. KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
A very good evening to you. My name is Daniel Wahome and welcome to Prime Edition Sport. The Kenya Under-20 women's national soccer team, the Rising Starlets coach, Beldine Odemba, has named the provisional squad for the upcoming two-legged second qualification round against Angola for the 2024 FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup scheduled for this month. The Beldine Odemba Chargers begin their first leg at home this Sunday, followed by the second leg in Angola on the 14th of October. The 30 players called up joined the camp on Saturday to intensify their training, as Angola will tentatively arrive in the country on the 6th of October. The winner of the tie on aggregate will face either Cameroon or Botswana. Some of the players selected in the squad are Nelly Achieng, Dorcas Glenda, Ruth Akinyi, Elizabeth Muteshi, Fasila Adhiambo, among others. Now, the Kenya National Lioness head coach Dennis Mwanja is optimistic the 7s and 15s ladies teams are in good shape and will register exemplary results in the forthcoming Olympic qualifiers and the World 15s Division 3 tournament in Tunisia and Dubai, respectively.
The Kenya Lioness 7-a-side and 15-a-side team are dedicated to intense training sessions at RFUA grounds, enhancing their game strategies and physical fitness ahead of their Tunisia and Dubai assignment. Tactician Dennis Mwanza is expected to name the final squad tomorrow for the two teams.
And the qualification of the men really motivates us, though they've run their race. It's up to us now to do our part. Also, the recent wins in the women's national teams across the country is also a good motivation. Looking at this Harambee Starlets, looking at the Malkia Stars, I think it's time for women to also shine in sports. For us, the girls are hungry, knowing the impacts of qualifying and what will be added to the team.
The ladies 15-a-side team qualified for the third tier after finishing second in their Women's Rugby Cup Championship held in Madagascar early this year. Mwanza Chargers will travel to Dubai on Friday and will play against Spain in their first match of the WXCV3 tournament.
And definitely with the boys qualifying, the girls also have we know we can do it because we train with the boys here at the same time. So we are like, if the boys did it, why can't we do it? And we train the same place, we do everything together, so we have high hopes.
Meanwhile, the 7-a-side team will be looking forward to qualify for the Olympic Games in Paris 2024 after the men's team Shujao got their tickets to Paris after humbling South Africa last month.
We are going to put our right foot forward. We are going for the experience, since this is going to be our first international game to play as a 15s. We are going to enjoy ourselves and we are going to learn as well, so that's it.
The team will travel next week and will play host Tunisia in their first match. For Prime Edition, I'm Sela Onyango.
Now, former African club champions KCB women's volleyball team defeated Kenya Prisons by 3-2 as the Kenya Volleyball Federation playoffs served off at the Kasarani Indoor Arena. Meanwhile, Kenya Pipeline beat DCI by 3-1 in a match played at the same venue.
Against players who have...
The Paul Bitok Chargers bagged the first set 25-18 before Kenya Prisons labored to win 25-22 in the second set.
Like tournaments in Kenya, so she has to fill in the boots. And
in the third set, KCB made their winning intention clear with a 25-10 win.
Nice attack from...
The Kenya Prisons gave their best in the fourth set, which they bagged 26-24 to set the match into fifth set, where KCB secured 15-12 to bag the victory.
Indeed, it's a wrap. KCB take it. KCB thankful to God.
In another match, Kenya Pipeline beat DCI by 3-1 in a match played in the same venue.
Took a set. Ball is on court.
Kenya Pipeline won first and second set 25-16, 25-22 respectively, before losing the third set 25-27. In the fourth set, Kenya Pipeline secured serving 25-17 win. The playoffs continue tomorrow with several games on card. For Prime Edition Sports, I'm King Orimwangi.
Now, African representatives South Africa are on the brink of the Rugby World Cup quarterfinals after a bonus point 49-18 victory over Tonga last night. Meanwhile, Australia kept their slim hopes of reaching the Rugby World Cup quarterfinals alive with a 34-14 win over Portugal in their final pool match.
Tayo Tonga challenged the Springboks of South Africa in Pool B at the Rugby World Cup.
South Africa scored 3 first-half tries through Cobus Reina, Kanan Modi and Dion Fourie against a much-improved Tonga.
Just like that, Yakurana is in.
The vital fourth try came through Jesse Kriel before Willie Leroux, Marco van Staden and Quagga Smith went over. Tonga suffered 3 heavy defeats by Ireland, Scotland and now South Africa. Next Sunday's match against Romania, who have also lost all their games, will offer an opportunity to end their disappointing